All right, it's Random Rambling Wednesday time. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. We talk about The Walking Dead, yes, but we talk about lots of other things. I'm going to change our intro and just say we're the Podcasting Dead. We podcast and we're both dead inside.
Oh, man, that's true enough.
But if you're a new listener, thank you so much for giving us a chance. Stay tuned. We hope to entertain you a little bit. Make sure to consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It don't cost you anything, and it helps us out a ton. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for sticking with us. Before we begin, let's make that announcement. We've made in other ones, but we know not all of our listeners get to catch each one. We have a Patreon set up.
We sure do, and we've got to, I wish I had a crazy cool sound effect, but Vixie Bixie, long-time listener, we've interacted with her on Snapchat and stuff. Wonderful gal from New Zealand. Our newest patron, a dead caster. She signed up on the second tier, which as of right now is the top tier. But yeah, Vixie Bixie, shout out to you. You know we love you, and we love you even more now.
We do so much.
Also Dan Ashdown, also
Alex Jimenez.
Yeah, just a lot of longtime listeners helping to invest in the podcast. This isn't to buy us new shoelaces or anything. You're investing.
Of course not. We're going to buy new shoes, silly.
Well, there was a time when the shoelaces came with the new shoes.
That is true.
Now I just get mine with Velcro.
Really?
Don't even worry about it, yeah.
You really, along with your members-only jacket, man, you're killing it.
I'm telling you, brother.
But we appreciate you. It's so humbling to see people willing to help grow the channel. First and foremost, like we said, all of our money that comes off of Patreon, I promise you, is going into the podcast. We made an agreement. Shoot, JP set it up like a year ago, and we just didn't publish it until we had several listeners say, "Why don't you guys start a Patreon? I want to join your, Patreon." So we finally did, and we agreed back when JP first created it that we're going to take all the money in the beginning, and it was all going to go back into the podcast to get like a better laptop for video editing, to get some cameras, some better mics, so that which the mics we have now are actually like top notch because we're using radio station equipment, but. Going to get some better like mobile setup, so maybe we can do it in different locations when we do video podcasts. So thank you so much.
Merch. We're going to get some merch to give to you guys. It's going to be a great thing.
Keep in mind, too, what'd you say, the first 20 people that sign up for Patreon get entered into a giveaway?
Do you think we should make it 10 or 20? Because, I don't know. What do you think?
I said go with 20.
All right, well,
let's aim a little high.
We'll stick with 20.
If we go a few weeks and we don't move up any higher than we are now, we might push it back down to the first three.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we've put together a prize pack, and this week we're going to reveal one of the components in the prize pack. And once we get 20 patrons, everyone will, regardless how much you donate or whatever you call it, invest, you'll be entered in to win this Podcasting Dead prize pack. Really cool Walking Dead merch and all this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, we might even write you a little love letter.
Yeah, we might put some. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be cool.
A couple of JP's nudies in the pack.
You never know. Which, by the way, I sell those for $1.99 a pop. So just hit me up on my social media.
Which we'll give you after the podcast.
Course,
so you got to stay tuned for that if you want to see JP's naughty bits. But
hopefully it won't disappoint. But even if it does, no refunds.
But anyways, enough rambling, which is actually okay because this is Random Rambling Wednesday, where we talk about any and everything that comes to mind. Our other podcasts are a little more structured, I guess. Yeah, streamlined. Like we have Current Events Tuesday, where we talk about the current things trending. We have The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones podcast. Don't forget, Friday, we've got another Game of Thrones podcast coming out. We're doing a full look back at Season 8 and talking about all the things we did and didn't like about it. That'll drop on Friday. So just if you're a Game of Thrones fan, be on the lookout for that. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the little bell notification beside the subscribe button, and you'll get notified whenever we post new content. So this one is just where we kind of go we just go freestyle. We just talk about whatever, and some people find it.
Baby.
We really are.
Actually,
you're not wearing underwear either?
I told you my dryer's broke, and I'd rather wear no underwear than wear dirty underwear. That's just me.
Yeah, it's gross. Did you know that they say you should dispose of your underwear once a year? Once a year, you should just clean house and buy all new underwear.
Wow.
Which, if you get like nice boxers, because with boxers, I don't really care much for name brand, but I'm not going to lie. Of all companies, believe it or not, American Eagle actually makes, like, I don't even shop. American Eagle, I still like to get jeans there because they're so comfortable.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I just feel like I feel like an older guy trying to stay hip if I get like a shirt with a big American Eagle logo on it. So I stay away from it. I still stick to like my old school stuff of like Hurley and O'Neill and Quicksilver and all that. But American Eagle has the most comfortable boxers I've ever worn in my entire life.
I've got their underwear before. Yeah, they're top notch.
But they're like $10 a piece, so it's like I can't be throwing those away every year. Maybe I'll throw away all my Hanes. Man. But yeah, because they say that they're like, even if you're very clean down there, even still, all that it can lead to things like E. coli and just all these other infections can come from it because, of course, they get dirty over time.
So we're talking more about the back door than the front door, because I was thinking if we got to throw ours away once a year, you would think the ladies would need to throw theirs away like once every 6 months because they be leaking fluids out the front and the back.
Well, that's gross. I thought you were going to talk specifically more about thongs because ours are just, unless you get the occasional wedgie, ours just sit on the outside of the butthole, whereas thongs, they just suck right up into the butt crack. Yeah, so you feel like those should be swapped out like every 6 months.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm not gonna say I never leak a fluid out the front, but it's I would think it'd be a lot worse on the ladies' end.
As we get into this content warning, most of our podcasts are fairly clean, but this one is the one where the F-bomb may get dropped or content may get sexual, or we don't know where it goes. So you have been warned.
It could go anywhere.
So tell us a little bit more about these front leaking liquids here. Like what's leaking out of there, man? Have you gotten that checked on?
Who, me? Oh no, I'm just talking about when I may get like really, really aroused when I'm out and about, and just a little pre-ejac might come dripping out.
That's disgusting. Yeah, I'm sorry that I asked.
That's old.
I'm sorry that I asked. I apologize to the listeners.
It's going to be a good day, man. Last week we talked about the Voodoo Graveyard. We're going back today.
We're going back today. We got to actually run out to some tower sites and take some measurements for the good old FCC. And on the way back, we're going to stop by the graveyard and see if that voodoo stuff is still there.
Jpslim, check out my Periscope. Jpslim will Periscope from the graveyard. How do you feel about that?
That sounds great, but the thing is, I don't know if this will be published by the time that we go, but they could always go back and watch it, I guess, right?
Yeah, you can rewatch.
Yeah. So,
I forget, Periscope's live. This is not live.
Yeah, which ain't no big deal. Like I said, JP's account stores the video, so you can just go back and watch it if it's already happened. By the time that you've heard this.
But yeah, man, I know we had one commenter say that what I thought might have been cocaine in one of those jars to summon up a voodoo demon like Papa Long Dong or something like that.
Is that a voodoo demon?
I don't know.
Papa Long Dong?
I don't know. I'm sure a lot of those voodoo demons have those long dongs, but it's not a racial thing. It's just, if I was a demon, I'd think I'd have a big dick, or maybe they have small dicks and that's why they're so pissed off. I don't know.
Maybe they don't have dicks anymore and that's why they're really pissed off.
Maybe so. Maybe that's why they be kidnapping babies and stuff.
Do you remember that old movie? It was horrible. I thought it was horrible, but it was like where the ghosts were coming back through the phone lines and the computer lines and stuff.
I don't remember that one.
The only part of that movie that I thought was worth a damn, where that sounded true, was where it was like, what do they want? And it was like to be alive again. It's like that's. And we really are excited because we're really trying to get two things off the ground with this podcast. We want to start a paranormal one with our friend Jessie because she's got a lot of paranormal experiences. And while JP and I are a little bit more skeptical, and a ghost I'm not even necessarily say ghost, but just paranormal podcast might not be as interesting with two guys who would not be as believing in every little thing.
We're two Scullys.
We feel like you need someone out there who believes in a lot, and Jessie believes in a lot of that stuff. So we're trying to do that with her, and then JP's got another female friend who we are trying to get like more of a woke podcast going with.
Yeah, conspiracy stuff. And I think the main thing with both of them is we just want this to stop being such a sausage fest,
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, we've podcasted.
Can I get a timeout? You can keep going. I got to blow this honker, man. I'm about to be just...
we talking about blowing your nose, or is there somebody in the back you owe a sexual favor to named Honker?
Well, that doesn't matter.
All right, you go do whichever, and I'll
keep going,
I'll stay
you can
here
pause
with the
it, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to be sniffing, and people are going to be like, "This sounds gross." I'll be right back.
There he goes.
I'll be right back. I promise.
He's running. Oh boy! So, how are you, listeners? How's life treating you? I hope the answer is good. God, can you hear that?
Yeah, man. I know we had one commenter say that what I thought might have been cocaine in one of those jars to summon up a voodoo demon like Papa Long Dong or something like that. Maybe so. That maybe that's why they be kidnapping babies and stuff.
Maybe they don't have dicks anymore and that's why they're really pissed off. Jeez, I don't know if you could hear that. But that like shook the whole station. Would you blow a boulder out your nose? This is unedited and unfiltered. So I guess these things happen. Thank goodness this isn't like live radio. All right, I think he's coming back. I heard the toilet flush. He's blown his nose. Hurry up. Run. Come on. If you're new to this channel, I am sorry if this has bored you. I promise our other podcasts are a lot more structured. Come on. Hurry up.
I took an allergy pill this morning, but maybe I should start taking them like at night, so it's metabolized by the time I wake up, perhaps.
Yeah.
Whew. But now I'm going to put this sweater on, and we're going to feel a lot better.
Why are you putting a sweater on? It's 75 degrees outside.
Yeah, but these studios get a little chilly sometimes.
I think the opposite. I think these studios get a little hot.
Oh, no, they really do. But it is nice and cool in here right now. So hopefully I'll just maintain homeostasis. I dripped on my darn slacks a little bit.
Is that a cardigan?
Yeah, it sure is. My mama got it for me a couple Christmases ago. Yep. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, cardigans are cool.
I like them, man. I've been rocking them since like 11th grade and ain't stopped yet.
I think I had like one.
See, brother, I was doing like geek chic at least before anybody around here was, And yeah, I got called some degrading names that didn't even apply to my sexuality.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say fag on here because I don't believe in those kind of, I've never used that kind of hate speech. But, back then it was pretty commonplace for guys to make fun of other guys with the.
They made fun of you for wearing a cardigan?
Absolutely, dude, absolutely.
I had one time. I think it was like an American Eagle one, but I didn't get picked on for wearing it.
Yeah, well, people may have been a little bit more threatened by you than by me. But that being said, and I would get mine from like Goodwills and stuff, like really retro grandpa-looking cardigans. And then, of course, stores like American Eagle start, putting it into their line. And it takes the fun when you take the time to go to these thrift stores and find this rad apparel. And then, Joe Blow can just go to Aeropostale and buy one that's, anyway, I digress.
Aeropostale.
How do you say that? I've never
Aeropostale.
Aeropostale, is that it?
I used to go there to get jeans and shorts sometimes because they were cheaper.
Yeah, it was kind of like the cheaper version of American Eagle, I guess. Yeah.
Man, I hate that you got picked on for wearing a cardigan.
No, I got picked on for lots of stuff. But by like 11th grade, I'd really come into my own and
started kicking ass, and people left you alone.
Well, I was kind of like Tyrion, my give a damn was busted. I could out maneuver them in different kind of ways. I had a penchant for prostitutes.
In the 11th grade?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all desired them in 11th grade, but I don't know that any of us.
In 11th grade, brother, I already had a goatee and a receding hairline. I could pass for a young gentleman.
One of my friends was seriously bald before we got out of high school. Kid you not, that hairline started receding like middle school. It was crazy.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I wonder what the reason for his was. If it was
well, he's got very hairy arms and stuff too, okay, so yeah. I guess it's just like a testosterone thing.
Testosterone, man. It's
too manly.
It's the cruel irony, I mean, it really is. The testosterone makes you more virile and horny. But the losing your hair and being hairy makes you less appealing to the ladies, so you just end up masturbating a lot and a lot and a lot.
What was the old wives' tale? If you masturbate too much, you'll get hairy palms. Well, I've heard the blind.
Yeah, there is a lot.
You get hairy palms or something too.
And I mean that's where it comes from. It's just if you have that much more testosterone, you're going to be more prone to masturbate, which means you're going to be more prone to be hairy. I mean,
means you're manly. You're an alpha male. You want to procreate.
I guess so, man. And
you should try the bald look. Now that we're getting back in the gym, more steady, and we'll start toning back up. You should try the bald look.
I'm definitely going to keep it buzzed closer. I'm not ready to just shave it with a razor. I don't know if I'll.
Well, I told you I found that new hair regrowth thing that seems to be working for a lot of people. I can't remember what it was called, but you can give it a shot. I think it's like one of those 30-day trials where the first 30 days is free. If you don't see anything growing, you don't pay anything.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, with gene editing and stuff, I really believe that in my lifetime there'll be a cure for baldness. But much like everything else, there's more money in treatments like Bosley or Rogaine or whatever than there is in just a one-and-done cure. So there's going to be people out there fighting an actual cure. But, man, gene editing is just so fascinating, just going in and manipulating your actual DNA to, and pretty soon you'll be able to, like you just had a kid, man. Can you imagine if you could have went in before, in the very early stages and, just picked and chose.
I would never do that.
Attributes.
I would never do that.
But, that's where it's going, dude.
It is going there, but I would never do that. That's just, and I know lots of things aren't natural, man, but that's just one of those things. Unless it was to save the kid's life or the kid was going to have some type of deformity or something, I just let the kid look the way they're going to look.
Well, my pal.
Speaking of which, my girlfriend just sent me pictures of of the baby waking up this morning.
It's super cute.
So cute.
Yeah, but like I have a pal, Ben. His brother works at a clinic or a lab or whatever, and they can, in the early stages of fertilization or whatever, they can tell you, hey, your kid's got a 90% chance of having Down syndrome, so you have the option to terminate the pregnancy super early on if you're so inclined to.
So people will terminate pregnancies because of Down syndrome?
Anything like that.
Because lots of people with Down syndrome go on to be, members of society that contributing members of society. Some own restaurants,
a Down syndrome person owns a restaurant.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah,
I didn't think they were capable of stuff. I'm not.
We're learning, but no. Right. Actually, this is, and I'm saying this for the sake of this discussion because it fits. I don't think you should do charity and go around bragging on doing charity. I think that defeats the whole point of doing charity. But I will say that I didn't this year, but for the last 3 or 4 years, I've done this program here in Danville where you go, and I haven't played soccer since middle school, but you go and you play soccer with mentally disabled kids. Mm-hmm. And when I say mentally disabled, I mean everything from kids that are mentally retarded to Down syndrome and beyond. And there was this one girl that was there, and she had Down syndrome, and man, that was the sweetest. She was she was smart, intelligent, just a sweet person. Mm-hmm. So that hurts my feelings that somebody would think of aborting a baby because it has Down syndrome. That kid has so much, and this isn't an abortion argument because we don't.
I'm not advocating for it either. I'm just saying it gives you the option. Yeah, I've heard, man.
That's sad because I've seen so many Down, and through that program I've met several, and they're all just they might not be as up to speed as we are, but they're still it's a life, and it's sweet life on top of that.
Yeah, well, what I understand, man, it's Downsy babies are just exhausting. They cry all the time. They're restless. I've heard that having a Down syndrome baby is no picnic.
And so is having a troubled teen, but you don't put them down for it.
I would probably put one down.
You would, but most people wouldn't.
I'm just saying it gives you the option, if your kid's going to have some kind of disability that you don't want to deal with or you don't think is going to...
I know you're not advocating for it, but that makes me really sad that would be a reason to get rid of a kid. Don't get me wrong. Again, the abortion thing, we're not even opening that can of worms. Don't think from that you can draw my thoughts on abortion. I'm just saying, I'm working with those kids. I've met so many that were, they require a little special care, but they're just the sweetest kids, and it's just just watching them experience life. I don't know, it's a cool thing.
We have I guess I shouldn't get into his personal stuff.
No, no. Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's crazy. The technology is getting scary.
Well, man, pretty soon, a sexual pregnancy won't even be a thing. Two people will make a decision to go to a clinic, and they'll, mix it all up in the lab. They'll fertilize the woman from there, and sex will strictly be for fun.
Well, and two, it's while I say that stuff's not natural, at the same time, there are great things for it. I've got some friends. I got some friends that can't have kids, and they're going to thinking about doing some in vitro fertilization or something like that, and it's a beautiful thing because it's given them the gift of, and I know that they're going to be amazing parents. That kid's going to have a wonderful life. So so while it is scary, it's also wonderful in some regards too for the things that it can do.
Yeah, man, but it's just we're kind of like a Model T, just a couple generations ahead of us, man. Humans are going to be on a whole different level. There probably won't be anyone with Down syndrome or. Maybe it'll take more than a couple generations, but this gene editing, this test tube baby kind of stuff, man, it's going to change the whole human race.
That's my biggest regret about not being here in the future. Is that I just really, of everything, I just want to see where technology goes. You know what I mean?
Dude,
like a few generations from us, death might not exist anymore. They might just be able to put your consciousness into a robot and
dude, that could
colonize
happen.
Mars, because if you're in a robot, you won't need things like air and food, and so they'll put your consciousness into a robot and ship you off to Mars to keep from overpopulating, and we'll populate the whole solar system with our new robot bodies.
That could happen within our lifetime, man. A lot of people are pushing to make the singularity happen by 2044, a completely self-aware artificial intelligence, and from there, that's what Westworld type stuff. That's what they want to do. Just make consciousness downloadable. And that gets into the whole thing about, do we have spirits? Are we more than just our consciousness? Does the brain generate consciousness, or is it receiving consciousness from somewhere else?
Winston Churchill once said, "When great forces are on the move, we discover we're spirits, not animals." So, Sir Winston Churchill, was he Sir Winston Churchill? Maybe not.
He was probably knighted. If you're going to knight somebody, how do you not knight Winston Churchill?
Yeah,
come on. But I don't know. But yeah, man, it's wild stuff on the horizon. It really is. As always, I'm more or less regurgitating something I heard on Joe Rogan not too long ago.
At least you give credit.
Yeah, man. I can't remember who he was talking to, man, but it's wild just thinking about the gene editing, where humanity is going. Merging with technology, which we basically already are. It won't be too long before these phones are up our asses.
Yeah. Well, and you already got working on cybernetic arms, and before long, losing an arm or a leg is just going to be as simple as Rick. Remember on Rick and Morty in season 3 where that bird bites off his arm? I
just watched that episode. Yeah.
And he sticks a little tube on there, and pshoo, out comes a robot arm, and it's ready to go. We're not too far from that, believe it or not.
Yeah, man, it's wild.
Speaking of which, the new season of Rick and Morty comes out in November, and I am so excited.
I knew it was coming out this year. I didn't know when, though.
So November, yeah.
That's going to be something to definitely be thankful for.
I know, man. It's been 2017 since we had a new season, so yeah. I'm ready.
Yeah, hopefully they dive more into the evil Morty stuff.
I think they will. It was one of those things. I think they started out. They didn't really want it to be a big thing. It was just kind of like a little because Justin Roiland, I think, said that they didn't really care to have any ongoing, stuff like that. But there was one. He said something about there was one secret, one little thing that people had started picking up on that they didn't know if anybody would pick up on or not. But I think they are going to probably expand a little bit more on the evil Morty thing.
Yeah, because we've got pretty much one episode a season focusing on that as of right now. So I don't know, maybe they'll expound more. I hope.
I do hope. Man, I love Rick and Morty.
Yeah, man, it's about
Would you
time.
get cybernetic enhancements?
Dude, I don't. Maybe.
Imagine how strong you could be, how you could live forever.
If it would give me my hair back, if there was a cybernetic enhancement to give me a head of hair. But no, if it was look, you can your eyesight can continue to degrade, or you can get these contact lens kind of things, which
or these robot eyes where they pop your eyes out and put cybernetic eyes in.
Yeah, man. It's hard to say. It's
I don't know if you ever watched VHS.
VHS? No. No, no, it's a movie. I know what you're doing. No,
I'm trying to think if it's the first of the. I think it's it's VHS 2. I believe it's the second one. VHS is awesome. If you now the VHS, the viral one, I thought was awful. It's the third one, I think. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it though, because to be honest, the last 2 times I watched it, I was a bit inebriated.
Oh. And
I thought Donnie Darko was horrible because I watched that several times inebriated, but then I watched it when I wasn't and really liked it. So, I need to go back. So don't hold me on that. The third one's horrible, but the first 2 are great. And what it is it's basically one long story, but a bunch of mini horror stories. Basically they find in each one, they find these tapes and they go through and they're watching the tapes, and you have these little 20-minute horror flicks, and it's awesome. VHS 1 and 2, if you like scary stuff, it's definitely worth watching. But there is one where a guy gets his eye. Apparently, I don't tell you as much, but I guess he had a car wreck or something, and they replace his eye with a cybernetic eye. But he starts seeing dead people and crazy stuff starts happening, and it kind of makes me scared to want to get a cybernetic eye now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you think about it. People can tap into like stuff in your body. Like, if you can hack a computer, could you hack
an eyeball? Yeah,
right. And just,
well, and some physicists believe that we like would it be string theory, like vibrations, like everything's on a frequency.
Right.
And I mean, like parallel universes just are vibrating at a different frequency, which is kind of like how radio waves work.
Yeah,
you know, it's like that's why they're right next to us, but we can't actually see or interact with them. But if you had a cybernetic eye, maybe somebody could tune in the frequency and you'd start seeing some freaky stuff.
You might, man. You might. They're saying that for people who, you know, we've talked about DMT on here, these hallucinogenic spiritual like events and stuff. They're saying that there may be a virtual reality kind of simulation for people who don't want to actually take the substance itself.
Ooh, that'd be good for me.
Yeah, get that same experience, which I don't know how it could possibly be the same experience, but they're saying that, you know, it might be an option for people who want to feel like that but not actually take the substance.
Hope it's better than the drunk goggles. Do you ever have to wear those in high school?
I remember those, yeah.
Dude, like, if that's what being drunk was like, I would never drink. Ever. That shit sucked. It made me feel sick. Like, that was like, I mean, I guess it was realistic when you get, like, belligerent, but, I mean, I don't get belligerent often. Most times I just have a few, catch a nice little buzz, and sit back and relax because every time I get heavily intoxicated, I feel like I wake up, even though if I haven't done anything, I wake up feeling like I owe people apologies.
Oh, dude, it's the worst sense of anxiety when you wake up and you have to kind of piece together what happened.
Right,
before.
yeah. I'm like, did I say anything? Because I'm definitely more likely to say something I wouldn't when I'm intoxicated.
No,
but, you know, I don't believe that old saying, a drunk man's words or a sober man's thoughts, because there are times where you say shit that you don't mean when you're drunk. You just, you know, it comes to mind and you spit it out because your inhibition is lowered and you just don't give a damn.
I think your id just kind of takes over, you know?
Right, but there are definitely times where I could have said something and been like, dude, I didn't mean that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I might have thought it in that moment, but I don't mean it. I'm not saying somebody won't confess something when they're drunk, but I don't think that everything people say, or like if you get in a drunk argument, somebody's like, I hate you, you're the worst person I know. I don't think that necessarily means they think that of you. It just means it came out. Maybe they felt that way at the moment, or they were just trying to hurt you, and the alcohol stopped them from, you know, having any reserve for, you know, what they said.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, you know, I come from a long line of alcoholics, and there's always been a well-established rule in my family. Whatever happens during a blackout is stricken from the record.
Oh, we don't really have that in my family, but yeah, I've had the men in my family have like,
you just, you know, the next day you just kind of carry on as normal. It's not held against you. It just kind of is what it is. And that's a rule going back generations. So, but yeah, man, it's. I mean, you think about it, there may be enhancements later on to where you can get as drunk as shit and then just like flip a switch and just purge that like
God, I wish
alcohol,
we had that
like,
now.
Yeah, from your senses, just, you know, like flip a switch, just drunk to sober.
There's usually 2 times a year that I get belligerently intoxicated because I don't do it often. I said, I don't like being belligerently. I don't have fun when I'm belligerently intoxicated. I enjoy drinking a couple, like having a couple of whiskeys, maybe getting a buzz, and then sometimes I'll even switch to water for like an hour just to regulate myself, or switch to soda. And then, like, I'll go back, you know what I mean? And also, if you stop periodically while you're drinking and guzzle a thing or two of water, and then before you go to bed, take about 4 ibuprofens, you'll wake up a lot less hungover. But
man, a B vitamin, sometimes I'll take one of those before I go to sleep.
I've never tried that. I have to give that a shot. But but it's New Year's Eve and the first night on our beach trip. Every time, that's usually the way it goes. Like, we usually take several beach trips. My friends and I like 2 or 3 years in a row, I went to the same place, Ocean Lakes in South Carolina, which if you listen to the podcast a lot, you're like, we get it. You love that place. But I went once with my friends I remember I came back to work and was here for like 4 days and turned around and went back with my family and then went back in the fall with my friends. But the first beach trip, like this year, man, it was the first because you're just in such a good mood. You've been riding all day. You get there, you unpack your work and personal life. Everything's on the back burner, and I'm in my favorite place on planet Earth with some of my favorite people on Earth. So the first night, I tend to go a little bit too far. Hey, man. But the last night this year at the beach was hilarious because my friends, all went out to get seafood. Now, I love seafood, but this night, it was our last night at the beach on our fall trip. And, I get kind of bummed on the last night because I got to wake up tomorrow and pack up and go back to the real world. So they all went to get seafood. I'm like, the heck with that. I'm going to stay here. So I got a little bit intoxicated, let's just say.
Nice.
And and see, the good thing is, I will say about me, I'm not a destructive drunk. Like, I'm not one that's going to tear up your house and do stupid stuff. But, like, I may have stumbled onto someone's deck to a condo that I was not staying at and made myself at home in the lawn chair because it had a great ocean view. And then not understood why my friends didn't want to join me on that deck when they got back. But, it sounds like something you would do.
Oh yeah, man! I've done that on many occasions. I love getting just blitzed when I'm in a new place. Like I don't get to travel much. Just a big part of it's laziness. And, I get a lot of anxiety when I break my routine. But I always like to go somewhere different, even if it's just a different town, like a couple hours away. And yeah, I love to just stay as drunk and fucked up as possible, and just explore the cityscape or wherever I am.
See, I'm not
on foot, by the way. I'm not driving around drunk.
Like when I was at the beach this year, I wasn't driving. Like I just walked up because we stayed closer to the front. We normally stay ocean front. This year, like we found a nice house for such a low price, being it was the off season, and because it was not close to the beach. I mean, you keep in mind at Ocean Lakes, you're still not even more than like a 20-minute walk to the beach, if that. But yeah, so we got this one super cheap. So we got it and went and stayed like 3 or 4 days. But I walked to the front and just kind of chilled on the beach. So if you ever, like for new listeners, now that we've started, I don't think we were giving out social media info at that point. So I'm going to tell you, if you see a sappy quote and a Snapchat on the beach, that means Justin's probably feeling good.
There you go. I'm telling you, man, I love going to new cities and just getting blitzed and like hanging out with panhandlers. The one time I went with a couple buddies to New York City, man, there was this dude asking for money. I was just like, man, come have a beer with us, And I was like, dude, we got to bring him and get him a drink. And he wasn't even like homeless. Like, I don't even know.
He's like, I'm not homeless. I just want money.
Yeah. And he ends up saying, hey, man, I got some of this hydro, $60. And next thing you know, some dudes got my money and running down an alleyway.
I think a bit too much into, and I'm a bit too cynical for the panhandlers of New York. The first time I went to New York, there was this guy that came up, and they were like, yo, we just got signed a rap deal, and we're getting ready to go on tour, but before we go, we're selling autographed copies of our album for $5. And he pulls it out and is like, you want to buy one? And I was like, well, if y'all got signed, why are they on burned CDs?
Right.
And the guy seriously just turned into, fuck you, man. And I'm like, I'm just asking. Like, if you got signed, I figured you'd have, like, an official album. And he's just like, whatever, and moved on to the next person. And then we had this one guy that we stayed at the Hilton, and across from the Hilton, I don't know how many Hiltons there are in New York. So if you're familiar with New York, if there's only one, then you know what I'm talking about. But right across the street is this little deli/convenience store. And it was awesome. They had great sandwiches, and my dad and and they had a bar in the hotel, too. But, hotel beer and liquor is just crazy expensive in New York City. So many nights, I went because I went with my mom and dad, and my dad and I would run across the street to get beer and sandwiches, and then we would come back. And this guy was sitting at the door, and he asked us for money. And my dad normally don't mind telling people just where they can shove it, but this time my dad's like, I don't know, man. Let me get some. Let me see. Let me buy food. Let me see how much money I have after I make my purchase or whatever. We go in, the guy starts singing "Don't You Forget About Me," like the whole time we're in there. He's at the door, just like, "Don't you?" And I just that's saying something kind of ugly back, and
right,
then we left. He left us alone. But
I was in Nashville, and some dude came up selling his hip hop CDs, and I actually bought a couple. It wasn't bad, and I found out later just on Facebook, he ended up being like the Nashville Entertainer of the Year, which wasn't like a big thing, but
well, I mean, it's like and that's cool if he just sold it as it was. Hey, man, I'm selling my rap album. Like these people straight up said they were going on tour. They just got signed to Atlantic Records and yada yada yada, and they were going to autograph them. And I'm like, why are they on burned CDs then, though? Like, why are you on the street selling your product? Right. If you just got signed to Atlantic Records, I imagine you at least signed a couple $100,000 deal. Like, why do you need to be on the street selling? Why isn't your promotional team on the street selling your album? Like, it just think too much into that. But
man, I was looking for that. What I was talking about earlier, the 2044 Singularity, and I didn't find that. But you want to hear what they're saying is going to happen in 2044?
Sure,
Pretty
enlighten
interesting.
me. 2044?
Yeah, 2044.
All right, let's hear it.
The works of J.R.R. Tolkien enter public domain. That's not that interesting, but okay. A tipping point for permafrost melting. This is pretty interesting. The last veterans of World War II are passing away.
Wait. The last veterans of World War II are passing away. Oh, yeah, I guess they would be about 100 years old. So, like, the last... That's crazy to think. I thought they were all, like, passing away now.
I mean, there's not a whole lot left, that's for sure.
That's wild to think about.
I looked it up a few years ago, and there was only, it was single digits how many World War I veterans were left.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if there's actually any, known to be surviving today. But
it's like, what, a 20-year difference in that? Because that was, 1917. Is that when it started? 1917? And...
Oh, man.
World War II started, in the 30s, right? Like the late, 1939, 30. Sorry for not remembering my world history. Got to remember, it's been a while since I've been in a history class.
Yeah, dude, I'm not even going to... World War I's always a tricky one. I've been listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, but I suck at remembering dates. So I'm not even going to embarrass myself.
You ought to look up the story of why Annie Oakley said she could have ended World War I. She could have prevented World War I with a single shot. Annie Oakley, the traveling.
Yeah. I'll look into that.
She kind of had a chance to take out someone who yada, yada, yada. It's really interesting. Look it up. I don't want to misquote anything. It's been a while since I read about that, but it's really, really cool.
This is also pretty interesting. A trans-global highway and rail network has emerged. We're talking about
being able to hop on a subway or a train, not a subway per se, but a car
across the Atlantic Ocean
and go to Japan.
Yeah, how crazy is that? And then 5-year survival rates for bowel cancer are approaching 100%.
So they have gotten rid of bowel cancer?
Just about, yeah. So cool. And that's another thing with the gene editing, man. They can manipulate these embryos to make cancer a thing of the past, essentially.
That'd be a cool thing to write a story about, a sci-fi story about gene editing and how they start creating these two perfect humans that start taking over the world, and they're coming out like Batman at peak human physical form.
Like I said, man, we're going to be dinosaurs sooner than a lot of people think, unless something some apocalyptic event comes and sets us back or something.
I was telling you before the podcast, I've been watching that show on Netflix, Slasher, and I've already watched the first 2 seasons a while back, but the 3rd season just came out. I don't know if it just came out, but I just realized it was out. So I was watching that, and they're in the coffee shop, and this dude's kind of being a douche, and the one girl's like, he's kind of hot, though, and the girl's like, ooh, he's got to be at least 30. And I'm like, screw you, man. We already are dinosaurs, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, man, it's, I'm definitely getting in that, dirty old man kind of I'm not old enough to be a dirty old man, but I'm definitely,
the conditions are there for later,
but man,
a dirty old man, JP.
Yeah.
How's life going?
Yeah, it's going.
Is it going good, though?
As well as can be expected, yeah.
Any changes, anything new?
Well, I got a doctor to look at that thing we were talking about, and he, it's not herpes. So.
Oh, well, thank God for that.
Yeah, thank God for that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm trying to think, man. I think that about wraps it up for this week's podcast. Unless you got something else you want to throw in there.
Yeah, we've been babbling for a while, I guess, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got to head out to the tower sites and take some measurements and try not to get burned by the RF feed.
Yeah, and then maybe go to the graveyard.
Ain't no maybe. We're going.
We're going to the graveyard.
We're going.
All right.
It's already, let's see, what is the temperature here? Looking for it to be around 95 today, and it's already currently sitting at, if my phone would hurry up, 82 degrees right now. Ooh. So, it's going to be a hot one. Yeah, we'll definitely be driving halfway through the cemetery this time. Yeah. There's a road that leads through. This time we'll drive, get out and walk.
Yeah, no kidding.
But, so if you are just hearing this and you didn't see it when it happened, go follow JP on Periscope, which we're going to give you that information here in just a second, and check out the video where we go and we check to see if there's any more voodoo stuff at the graveyard on the way back from the tower site. But unless you're listening on SoundCloud, this might be up on SoundCloud before we go there. So let's give out that social media info. JP, let them know your Periscope and your Instagram.
Jpslim, Periscope, easy peasy. That's just Jpslim. That's my Periscope, and a J_Radsaw on Instagram.
J_Radsaw. Such a rad name.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Mine's a little less rad. It's just I'm Justin Lloyd, all lowercase, no apostrophes, 2 L's in Lloyd, no spaces, nothing. Just I'm Justin Lloyd. Get you my Instagram, Snapchat, and my Periscope, which I don't use Periscope that often, but I need to. But Snapchat, Instagram, and Periscope. I'm Justin Lloyd. So go follow us there for some cool stuff. Make sure to like our Facebook. Subscribe, follow wherever you're listening. Hopefully you'll come back and listen again. And don't forget, our Patreon is live.
It is. Check out just patreon.com/thepodcastingdead. We'll put a link for it in the video.
Yeah, so there you go. We'll catch you tomorrow for Mail Call Thursday. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.